How you doing? Tal Morris here at Bananas at Large in Santa Rafael. And we're here with Tim, product specialist here at Bananas at Large. And we're going to be checking out the Dave Smith Tempest analog drum machine.
Thank you, Tal. Yeah, my name is Tim. I'm one of the technology specialists here at Bananas at Large. I'm going to show you the Dave Smith Tempest. It's a whole lot of fun. It's one of the only last existing analog drum machines, which is kind of cool. Nobody does this anymore, but it's a great way to actually create your own drum rhythms in a real-time fashion. So it's not like you have to sit down at a computer and dial up anything weird, or actually, put a whole lot of thought into dialing in MIDI or thinking about just, stealing somebody's drum loops or whatever it is that you're doing. This actually puts it in your hands. This also actually operates as a really nice tone sequencer as well, so it's got a lot of different features to it that make it a whole lot of fun. One of the first things to note about it is it's really cool. Everything has got this real big fat sound to it. It's just nice and chewy, it's chunky. There's nothing kind of digitized about it, and there's some people out there, especially in the dance music world, that prefer their sounds to be like really big. So this has 3 different oscillators that actually run into directly across the board a low pass a low pass filter. Then you have your high pass filter, and then your amp for feedback, which is kind of something that's a little bit throwback too. Is kind of cool when you can actually find something that has a feedback control to it. Kind of moving right along to the left. As you're actually running through your sequences in real time, you can actually add and modulate BPM swing to create more of a real or organic effect to your beat, so it doesn't just sound like somebody's dialing in something like a 4/4 count. On the main outs, you have 2 different analog distortion and an analog compression, and those are complete analog controls there. And then you have your envelopes, which brings me to that. Your attack, decay, and amount of your resonance velocity. Then you move over to the LFOs, which you have 2 of, which are also assignable. You can do these all either per pad, or you can do them as master send outs. Then that brings you to the mixer portion here, where you can then pan your sounds, change levels for velocity, kind of what some of you might refer to that as. And then there's also something for delay time, so you can actually set certain delays for sends and returns. Also have a really cool set of real-time effects over here all the way to the left. These can actually be assigned to virtually any of the multi-effects that are also in this, and there's 24 different multi-effects, as well as being able to latch to certain pads individually for live performance use. Then you have your step sequencer right here in the center, and for all of you who know and love step sequencing, if you kind of look at the layout of the pads, if we actually go into the step sequencer mode, you would see all these pads light up and be able to actually perform your step sequence directly out in a live performance setting. Really cool, because it doesn't take you out of the analog chain before you get into a digital platform. So if you are using a digital DAW, this is definitely something that you can add into your system that's going to give you a way bigger and a lot fatter sound than you're normally used to. I like the pad layout here. It's non-grid style. You can actually see what they've done here is 1 to 8 and then 9 to 16 in 2 linear formats. What this is going to do, as opposed to your normal grid, which is normally a 4x4 pad layout, it actually adds to the playability. I feel like it's not taking away from the playability of it. You're not reaching across another pad to get to another one. So your controllers really find this is a lot of fun, because they can actually get to a lot of their sounds and do different tricks, and there's no really having to reach over. There's no accidental touching of other pads. It definitely has more of a sophisticated layout this way. And everything is still assignable, so you can actually put these in any kind of order that you choose to. So if we go over here.
So explain what you're doing now. You're doing it?
Okay, basically what I'm going to do, this is running through a real-time step sequence that you can either just play along with, as you just saw Tal and I doing a minute ago. So you can see where each one of these pads, as it light up, is showing you which instrument's being played, which is displayed for you over here on the grid. So you can actually see what all of those are. As you select a certain sound, it will take you to that sound. And from that sound, you'll be able to actually manipulate using all of your oscillators, your filters, your amps, all that good stuff. Actually affects that pad individually at that point, rather than the master out. So you can actually change your sounds one for one, rather than having to change all of them at one time, because nobody really wants to do that in the entire kit. However, you do have your master outs for that kind of stuff too, so after you're actually going through, you can actually go add a little distortion to it, get a little bit crush type of sound. If you want to, you feel like it's not loud enough, you may bring the compression up. So these are all for your master outputs. So those 2 actually take care of that. You've also got on the back here, kind of to mention, It has all the other knobs and all the pads can actually be used still in a MIDI format. So if you are actually tied into a DAW and you want to be able to use this with either your Ableton rig or your Pro Tools rig, whatever you have at home, you can plug it straight up in MIDI and use it that way, as well as also using it for core MIDI functions, which are also located here on the back, as well as having separate voice outs as well that you can also indicate. Just actually send these out to an analog in if you wanted to maintain the integrity of the piece. But everything is transferable via the MIDI through the output. And that was just scratching the surface on Dave Smith's Tempest. But if you really want to come down and put hands into it and know what it feels like to play an analog drum machine, come down and see us at the store. Or check out the link below at www.bananasmusic.com.